Hey, Nigerian XJW speaks here. Good evening. Even though it's probably not evening when you're watching this, I hope you are doing well. I hope you're having a good week. You feel like it's been a while since I've been on, and I know it hasn't. Just my last week's video was very short, was very intense and personal, and it just didn't feel like normal. So I wanted to go back to something normal, something less intense, and a bit more, I don't know, should we say fun? I don't know if it's going to be fun. We'll see. It might be painful for some of us, and I'm laughing because it's silly and it's painful in a funny sort of way. Definitely in hindsight. If it's your first time here, welcome. My name's Trust. I am a former Jehovah's Witness from Nigeria, currently living in the UK and been out for a few years now, and still in the recovery journey. I think definitely the topic for today is one of those things where there is still work to do. There's still work to do, and I don't even know how people who got married in the religion, how they're even dealing with this. So I had someone comment maybe a few weeks ago asking me to talk on the interference or the nosiness of the religion in married couples' relationships, and how they were trying to dictate what kind of sex couples could have or not have, what was okay and what was not okay. And, thankfully for me, I left before I got married. So thank goodness. I did get engaged to someone, which well, in hindsight, shouldn't have happened, but it wasn't a very long one. Within a couple of months, it was pretty clear it wasn't going to work. It was for the wrong reasons, which again ties back to the expectation that this religion has for you. You can't get married out of guilt for what you are engaged in, which is completely normal and healthy for adults who are consenting. And I'm going to leave it there. So I didn't have that experience of being married, which is why I wasn't jumping on it. But I had that request come in, and in the JW spaces that I'm in, I have seen comments, posts about people who are trying to make sense of the impact of what being raised in a religion like this does for your ability to get into normal, healthy dating relationships and have romantic relationships, you call them that, and the residual effect that is left behind. And the other thing, I was having an interview with someone today. I interviewed someone for my business, my other life that I talk about. I'm trying to give my ladies who I talk to about money and budgeting, I was hoping to give them something different. So I had this lady come in to talk about her coaching for people to date better. And so everything sort of come together to, okay, you need to talk about this. So I'm taking a few notes. If you see me looking down, that's what I'm looking at. But it feels like I should start with sort of my personal experience with it, because this is what I do here. If you go back and watch my videos, you see I try to be an open book as much as possible and share my own experiences, as much as I can. And so it's not going to be any different today. So growing up, gosh, okay. So I would say that from about probably, this is ridiculously young, but probably from around 10-ish, I had, it's really, actually, it's twisted when you think about it, that I was being suspected. Now, looking back, I think when you have a group of people that live under so many restrictions, so many restrictions, there is no freedom. They are being told what they can do, where they can go, who they can have as friends, what kind of work they can do, like every single area. And so you end up with people that are paranoid. And when those people end up being parents and raise children, they're paranoid as well. So for this organization, every time they use the word immorality, they mean sex. Never mind the full spectrum of what being moral versus immoral can mean in the wider society. For them, it's just about sex. They talk about morality, that's all it is. And they bang on about it week in, week out, day in, day out, from the daily text to the book studies to the Kingdom Hall meetings. They bang on and on and on about it, completely obsessed with that. Let me see. I've written something here. I can't even read my writing. Okay, no, makes sense. So there is that obsession, and you have people that are deprived. So as a witness, dating is something that you only do when you are like right about ready to get married. You're not just dating to see if you get on. It's just like you are ready to get married, and that's it. Now we know what teenagers are like. Kids are getting boyfriends, girlfriends now from, I don't know, 16, sometimes even younger than that. Now I'm not saying it should be a free for all, but when you have teenagers who are restricted in that sense, every move is watched. Like I said, I felt like I was being suspected from the age of 10. We had a family shop, I'm sure I've talked about this, and so every customer that would come in and they stay too long, I just, when you sense like someone's watching you, when you feel like someone is like is suspecting you. So customers would come in, and if they stayed longer than however many minutes, just having a conversation, it was suspicious. I had that weight. Carrying like on my shoulders the whole time. One example that springs to mind, across the street from us, there was this boy who was 3 years older than I was. So when I was 13, he was 16, and completely innocent friendship. Of course, he was further along in school, and so sometimes he would teach me physics and maths, and we were friends. Completely nothing going on there. There was an incident one day, and everyone was outside sort of chatting about what had just happened, and without even thinking, I leaned my arm on his shoulder. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Wow. The reaction was excessive. The sitting down, the chatting about it, the probing, the asking questions when we've not done anything other than talk about schoolwork. I mean, with this situation that I was in, I was terrified to do anything anyway, which is the other thing that comes from this. This is what happened to me. Being completely terrified of anything sexual, because the education in that sense is pretty low. I mean, just telling someone that, if you do anything, whatever that is, you can get pregnant does not constitute sex education. That's just not going to cut it. That is pretty much what I had. And so I was terrified. I'm not going to do anything. And so to have that reaction of a hand on the shoulder, if I was secretly doing something, I'm not going to put my hand on the shoulder in full view of everybody. But anyway, that was just a funny experience. I can look back now and laugh about it, but at the time it was really, it didn't make sense. It didn't make sense at all. So it's intense, and so it completely makes sense how, even though you've left, because people that are watching my channel hopefully are people that are either making their way out or have already left and trying to make sense of what life is now. So if you're finding the whole world of dating and relationships and what you even do confusing, you are not alone. I am still trying to figure it out. I am trying to figure it out. What is okay, just being okay with what is normal and not being screwed up. I can honestly say that for me, it has impacted every relationship that I've been in. So like I said, I did get engaged once while I was in there. I was how old was I? I was 21, I think. Yeah, I was 21. He was much older, like I said, completely for the wrong reasons, out of guilt, trying to appease our consciences because we were both living the double life. And after I left that, there was really nothing else with anyone in there. So when I decided to take a break from the religion, still believing, in 2011, it was a complete, the way I always describe it is when you have a wound up spring and you wind it up so tight and then you let go and it goes, right? Yeah, that's what happened. Sorry for that sound. It was really loud. But yeah, just completely going off the rails, and without sort of the education and the guidance to see normal relationships, what they look like, what the process is, how to stay safe, how to see people as more than just what's happening below the waist, and that people can just be friends, men and women, whatever it is, can be friends without it needing to be about that, and not be so terrified of, you could even be in the same room by yourselves, unless of course it's the elders who are doing the evil thing that they do to kids, but this is not the video for that. But just relaxing a little bit, and not everybody's trying to get into everybody's pants all the time. Like, people are grown adults here, they're not depraved all the time, and just really learning that. And so going off the rails and then having to reel it back in and just figure things out and find a new normal and healthy. So if you are going through that struggle, you're not alone. The lady that I was interviewing, like I said, this is what she does. So I am gonna go in a group, check out what information she has there. But it's for me personally, it's a journey that I'm still on. So forming those healthier ways of doing it. I have taken myself out of the dating scene for the last few years. How long has it been? A couple of years, something like that, and just figuring out what was missed out, what behavior, what traits, what beliefs are there because of what the upbringing was, and trying to correct that or challenge that, and whatever that is, there is work that needs to happen, and it needs to be done to undo the work. So when I see those questions, does anybody feel like this is harder for them because of this in the XJW groups? Yes, of course it could be harder, because what we were raised to think, that wasn't healthy. Hey, interruption. So I am having to insert this here because I left it out in the main video. So this Sunday, the 26th of July, is our community live stream. Whoop, whoop. So on the last Sunday of every month, we have a live stream where we catch up on the month before, like the month that is finishing, and what's happened, highlights, and just anything that comes up. It's usually me chatting because I've had a few, the last couple I've had a quiet audience, but hopefully it won't be so quiet this time. So Sunday 9 p.m. UK time is the live stream for July, and hopefully you'll be on there. I will create a reminder. So I will create the event so you can add it to your waiting, so you get notification when it comes live. Talking about notifications, so if you've watched the video so far and you haven't subscribed, why not? Like, you watch it anyway. Wouldn't it be good so that you get notified when I put up videos? So go ahead and subscribe. For those that have, I see you, I appreciate you, thank you. The numbers are growing. The more people that are interacting and engaging, subscribe, commenting, the more people see the videos. So thank you for everyone that's doing that. Keep doing more of the same. You are helping us grow. Okay, that's it. Back to the main video. To have such an obsession with sex at the same time as condemning it day in, day out, it's sick and twisted. To finish off, we're going to have another round of flip-flopping. So if you've watched any of my videos about doctrine, you know that the governing body, they have a lot of flip-flopping. With blood doctrine, I have a video on that. Just flip-flopping on doctrines that they've taught in the past, and then they've changed their mind and it's new light. And so this is no different as well in some ways, and this is specifically to do with how they involve themselves in married couples relationships, and what kinds of actions are okay versus not okay. So of course we're not going to go back from the very start. Where possible, I will insert screenshots of some of the articles, but I will quote them all. So talking about oral and anal, I don't know what YouTube's going to do with this video, but you wanted me to talk about it, so that's what we're doing. First of all, what business do they have getting involved in what people are doing in their married homes? What business of theirs is that? It's funny how, well, it's not funny. where they acknowledge that, yeah, it's probably not our place to say, but then they go on and say anyway, and say what they think it's okay and what they think it's not okay. And in some cases, like I'll run through in the examples, making them disfellowshipping offenses. So in the Watchtower of December 15 of 1969, they went about it from the angle of, we want to stick to things that are the natural use of a person, natural use of the man, natural use of the woman, mostly woman, because it's women that are meant to be used. So natural use of the woman, and not go for things that are perverted. And that's where they're feeling the bit of, okay, if you do anything that would count as unnatural use and be classed as a perversion, you could be disfellowshipped for that. And that's one of those things. And then in November 15, 1974, kind of double down on that, and essentially saying that if a couple engages in that they would both be guilty, and that they will both be guilty of being engaged in perversion, and it's unnatural. So again, it doubling down on that. In February 15 of 1976, Watchtower, they mention it again and say that it causes impurity. Actually, which brings me to a different point. I can't speak. This whole sort of false dichotomy, it's clean or unclean. There's this obsession with a black and white thinking, either you're morally clean or the opposite of that, you're dirty, you're unclean. And that is not a very healthy way to think about oneself. And looking back, I can see how damaging that is. You can't just group people into clean, unclean for something that's completely natural. And so that's where they've gone down. That's really troubling for me. I don't know what you guys think. That sort of false dichotomy, like just the thought of making someone feel like they're dirty, that, in my opinion, is part of why a lot of us that have left, ex-witnesses, have a problem with expressing ourselves sexually and being able to embrace all parts of ourselves. And it takes some work to get to a point where you feel comfortable with wanting what you want and feeling okay about it. I promise it's worth doing the work. Okay. And so we go on to February 15, 1978, Watchtower, where the term changes a little bit. So apparently now it's no longer a disfellowshipping offense. They acknowledge that, in the past we have said things that suggest that, you can be punished for this, but actually we have now decided it's not our place, basically. And, a couple, it's between them and Jehovah. You're not going to be disfellowshipped for that. But they're still bashing on it hard. They're bashing on it hard. In the book True Peace, I think True Peace and Security, on page 150, they liken it to things that homosexual couples engage in. And apparently, even if you're married, you should not be engaged in those obscene homosexual practices, because for them, it's part of what people who are gay do. And so why would you want to do that? If you're reading in between the lines as a witness, as you're reading that no, this is something that the homosexuals do as a perversion, you of course are not going to want to do that. And so that's how they frame it in that book. And then another swift change again in March 15, 1983. Once again, you could be disfellowshipped for it. so apparently half of it I get, the other half So if you make your partner do it, and they can report you to the elders. I mean, goodness, if you have a partner that's forcing you to do stuff, or at least forced you to do something, seriously, the elders are not the people to go to. Go to the authorities. That is assault. Can I just clarify that? That is assault. If someone's forcing you to do stuff, or they force you to do something sexually that you didn't want to do, that's not a matter for the elders. Go get help. Go to the authorities and get it sorted. So PSA, just saying. But yes, apparently you should go to them for that. Or if it's consensual, but you're quote unquote advocating. who goes around advocating for what other couples could do or should do? I don't get them sometimes. It's like when they say that people are pushing an agenda for something that is completely private. Each couple has their own thing. So apparently if you're advocating for it, even if you're both married and it's consensual, you could lose your privilege. So elder, ministerial servant, regular pioneer could be stripped of you, or potentially disfellowshipped for it. So policy change in March 15, 1983. Now, in more recent times, don't have that to hand. So from around 2007, there's a slight shift in how they're wording it. So less focus on married couples, but more on unmarried people. So if unmarried people do it, it's porneia. It's they could be disfellowshipped for it, but not so much married people. So they're moving away from that, which I'm sure is a small blessing for them. I don't know why anybody would want to go talk to those men about what they're doing in their beds, if it's consensual. But yeah, so a shift from focusing on what the married couples are doing, but on people who are unmarried, and which I guess that aligns with their overall perspective on how they think people should date, which is not touch each other, have a chaperone, and yeah, just that kind of dating, which if that's what you want to do, more power to you. By all means do that, but do that because that's what you want to do, because it's something that aligns with what you want, and not because this group of people who change their minds every few years have asked you to do that. They clearly, I don't know what is the rationale. Yes, people can change their minds, but you don't flip-flop for no reason in something that you had no business being in the first place, and you're affecting people's lives. You are genuinely causing problems for how people see themselves, for how they see relationships in general, and some people are probably scared for life and they can't maintain a healthy relationship, and that's squarely based on how they've been raised. Now, it is possible to do the work. It is possible to unlearn behaviors, to unlearn patterns, to challenge what the narrative is, and I encourage that in every single way. I mean, that is part of why I have this channel, to advocate for recovery and healing and unlearning what we were taught, and learning a new way of being. If I didn't think that was possible, I wouldn't be here, but I know it is, and I think it is, and I think we can all do it when we're ready. So ask the questions. You're not alone. We are, I say we, if anyone here sort of experienced the same thing or has anything to share, leave it in the comments. However much you're comfortable sharing. The more of us that are open about it, then people that have those questions and concerns, we feel less alone. They're not alone in this. It doesn't make them weird. It completely makes sense in line with how we're raised. But then what are you going to do next? Are you happy to remain that way? Or do you want to move forward? Do you want to learn something different? Do you want to figure out a new way of doing it? It's no rush, in your own time. Don't let anybody rush you. Do it in your own time so that you'll be happy with the choices and the decisions that you make, and be truly able to own whatever relationships you find yourself in. So I believe in you. I believe we can all do it. Ask the questions, find the answers, dig deep, root it all out, root out the mess, see it for what it is. Control tactic, and take charge. Okay, so that's it for this one today. Lots of editing for me to do. If I don't put the screenshots, I will put a listing of the articles that I've mentioned, so you can go check them out if you want. I am going to leave videos for you to watch next. Why not, if you are sticking around, and more videos that you can watch. Subscribe if you haven't. I didn't mention it throughout, but please subscribe. Give the video a thumbs up. The more people are subscribing and giving it thumbs up, the more people see it, the more of us get on this path to recovery. So I hope I've done it justice for the person who asked that I do it. If you think there's anything that I missed out, please let me know, and we can touch on it another time if needed. Have a fantastic rest of the week, everyone. I will speak to you soon. Take care.